Hi, this is Nathan Losey with Mobile User Experience for October of 2014, so 10 of 14. With our week 3, we're storyboarding an application for our banking. I've laid out my storyboard in the storyboarding in Xcode. It's got a nice tool set to do this. So we start off with our secure login page. We basically just have a standard username and password. We've got a title at the top, and you can hit login. If we've got a failed authentication, that drops down to here, where it presents an error and a link to a website that would launch the browser. We would be breaking the native application at this, or going outside of the native application to retrieve the password. But otherwise, the login button, when used properly, will bring us to the account overview here. The account overview is going to give you a list of all of the accounts that are included with with the account that you're using, or the online account. So you may have multiple checking accounts, multiple savings accounts, and that's all going to show up here. If this gets too big for the screen, it would be scrollable, and each of these lines is going to be we can see that this still labels these as prototype cells, because this is going to be basically a list view structure. Clicking on each of these is a link to the account summary, or the transaction history and statements and documents for each account. We'll get there in a second. You also can see that we've got now a navigation menu that starts up across the bottom. These are going to be links to each of the other main sections of our application. But let's start off by going to that account overview, because you'll see that this bar is going to be persistent across the rest of our user experience. So let's say you click on one of those, and we're at, say, the checking account number 1 here, and you're going to see a list of recent transactions, again, scrollable. Basically, each of these is just going to list off the information. It's going to say what type of transaction happened, the amount of the transaction. Presumably, once we've got actual data flowing in, this information is going to be able to tell you a little bit about which particular business or organization made that transaction from your account. We're also going to give the user access to statements and documents here. One thing that people are definitely going to be looking for on their mobile application for their banking is going to be to find their bank statements if they need to find the actual information for their accounts. So we'll have that be a link to a list of recent statements, as well as the things like the terms and conditions. Not real big on what actual documents go with banking accounts personally. So anything that would be necessary there is going to be listed, and each of those would open up a PDF viewer, presenting those documents as just downloadable PDFs rather than as a separate window in our application here. Now we'll go back, and you'll see that here on both of these versions of the screen it changes the contents, but we keep the navigation bar, and we also now have a home button that shows up in the upper left. I couldn't decide if we wanted to utilize the native navigation bar there to make that as a back button. Didn't seem quite appropriate, but there also didn't really seem to be room on the bar down here for a fourth button. That could probably be fixed in design, but basically the most important thing here is to have persistent buttons that get you to each mainstay portion of the application. The important bits here being that you can always get back to that account summary, as well as to get to your transfers, your check deposits, and your branch locator. So each of these is from any of these other windows will lead you to the next one. So let's go to transfers. So we click on this button here, and it brings us to our transfer funds window. If my window will stop jumping around. There we are. Transfer funds here is going to be a pretty straightforward screen. It's going to do exactly what it says. You'll have the option to, this is going to be a drop-down menu, which will let you select which account you're transferring from first. And then we've got a switch here, talked about in my week 2 video, where this is going to just toggle you between if you're transferring to your own personal accounts and the accounts of someone else. You're going to have the option to select a frequently used contact here for the someone else, and of course if you switch it to your accounts, this drop down here would then become whichever a list of your own personal accounts, and then of course you've got the amount to be transferred. So our second thing here is the check deposit. Check deposit is actually going to be pretty straightforward. Also, it's going to bring up uh, basically a personalized version of the camera view here. And this big window here is going to be showing us the camera view, and then you're going to have a capture button to take the picture. Preferably once we've got a little bit more detail here, this is going to have an outline of where the check would go in the square, in the rectangle, so you can kind of line it up, make sure that it's going to match up. And then once the image is taken, it will confirm with you the amount and the sender so that you make sure that it's read the information correctly. And our final feature here is the branch locator, which is going to allow you to type in a zip code, or it will pull location data automatically from the phone, and it will list for you the location of any of the number of branches in the area, as well as showing you the Google Maps version. You can see this is an MK map view here. That's going to show you basically exactly what the where in your location it would show you the map and show you pins for each of the locations available. So this is pretty much the bare bone, the storyboard, as it were, of our banking application. We'll be looking forward to next week and our final project. Otherwise, you guys have a good rest of your week.